Many of you ready to get out there, looking for a job or changing careers. One of the first things you need to do is update that resume, and our career expert, Randy Wooden, has some ideas. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. I've often heard that a resume is you 8.5 by 11. That's what you are. So it's important to make the best picture, right?
It is very important. Now, the best thing to do is to network and to know somebody at the company, but if you don't have that luxury and all you are is a piece of paper or electronic, then you have to do some things to help you look as good as you can look.
Okay, you got a number of different tips. Where do we go?
Well, one of the biggest things I get is, how do I hide my age?
Hide your age.
How do you hide your age? I mean, let's face it, somebody's pushing late 40s or late mid 50s. Mm-hmm. There's some concern there that the younger worker might get the advantage. So just some ideas on age. One is dates. Regarding your education, I would leave those dates off.
If you have a degree, just put the degree and not the date you earned it.
Correctly.
Fair enough.
Exactly. That would be one thing I would consider. And really something else is a resume, and I've said this before in past months, it's a highlight of who you are. It's not necessarily every job you've had since you were a kid. Mm-hmm. And so you have to look at some arbitrary cutoff, whether it's around 1990, early 90s, late 80s, something like that. So at some point there's overkill. Okay. And I think once you get past 15 to 20 years, it's overkill.
You've changed so much in that time. Anyway, you've advanced, so it's...
Exactly. The only caveat to that, now I used to work in radio a long time ago. Mm-hmm. If I wanted to go back to that career,
then you...
My experience, yeah, it was in the early 80s.
Okay.
I would have to flip-flop my resume to move the job or the industry that I want to pursue back to the top of the resume.
Okay.
And that would be another tip, and that's sort of how to position your resume effectively. We can talk about that if there's time, too.
Okay. Another thing you mentioned as far as changing how you list years and months and things like that, just putting the years down.
Yeah,
that's a simple thing to do.
That would be something, if you had a gap of 3 or 4 or 5 months or something like that, instead of saying 6/05 for June of 05, you would just say 2005.
Okay, and that, as you said, kind of smooths over the gaps and things like that. Another one, you say the top portion of the resume, use key words there, like what is it?
Sure. Well, ideally, you'd like to look at the position you're applying for and see the keywords in the ad, and that would help tell you what keywords need to be on your resume. But things like whether it's project management, personnel management, supervision, budgeting, scheduling, sales, whatever that.
Which also points out, make that resume tailored for the job.
Ideally, and you don't need to have 100 different resumes or 100 ads, but I think you do need to have 2 or 3 key templates that you can alter them slightly, but I wouldn't get too creative because you'll forget what you sent them.
And finally, you say keep it short, 1-2 pages max, right?
Ideally, and there are exceptions to that. And if you talk to a headhunter or recruiter, they would prefer a longer resume because they need to know every single keyword that you've ever touched.
And then will they edit it down and make it?
Typically, they will.
Okay.
If they're on their game, they'll do that, and they'll edit it down to the key pertinent points the employer or their client company is looking for. But if you're just one person in the wilderness sending your resume out there, then you need to give them a short synopsis of who you are. But the key thing here is to put accomplishments in there as well. Most people leave that out, or they don't touch on that, and they don't quantify it by putting numbers, size,
and those
budget.
Accomplishments can sell you.
They can.
Okay, Randy, thanks for coming in. I tell you what. I want to let you know about something that Randy started up here. It's a Get Hired seminar. This is free. It happens every week, and you can actually get tips like this. Randy says actually a lot of the questions have to do with resume building and things like that. Workshop is every Saturday starting at 10 at the Wooden Group office.